Hey there, welcome to School of Emo, the podcast where we dive into the world of emo, pop punk, and everything in between. If you've ever found yourself in your car screaming the lyrics to Taking Back Sunday, wearing way too much eyeliner in the early 2000s, adding a buckle or a chain to every outfit you've put on, you are in the right place. I'm Erin Judge, and each week I will be your fellow student, guiding you through the music, the culture, and the history that shaped an entire generation of angsty teens. I am not the teacher of this school. I am a fellow student, here to learn alongside you and from you. Together, we will cover a lot of information that doesn't really matter, but will remind us of the days of stalking MySpace channels and getting lost in chat rooms. So connect your dial-up, turn on your webcam, and let's go to School of Emo. Today on School of Emo, we have one of our most important classes yet. We are talking about a band that not only defined a generation and has continued to shift and mold generations to follow and has been timeless in a way that many emo pop punk bands have not been able to do, but they have also carved a space for women in this industry in a very male dominated field. And that is Paramore, led by the amazing, wonderful, beautiful, incredible, iconic Hayley Williams. And what's really exciting is that we are starting the story of Paramore right down the road from where I'm filming currently in Franklin, Tennessee. I'm in Nashville, and they actually started here, being one of our first Southern emo pop punk bands in our series. So Paramore was formed in 2004 in Franklin and included Hayley Williams on vocals, brothers Josh and Zach Farrow on guitar and drums, and then bassist Jeremy Davis. But what Paramore really had as like their secret sauce, what helped them stand out the most, truly was Hayley, and continues to be. She was discovered as a teenager because of her voice. If you've heard Hayley sing, if you've heard Paramore at all, you know that her voice is so good and has made her someone that has been able to collaborate across all genres, go solo, do her own thing, but also just cement Paramore in like history as one of the greatest bands that has like such strong like musical talent behind them, really linked to her. She originally signed a solo deal, but insisted on forming a band instead because she didn't want to be just the next pop star, the next kind of puppet for the label. She wanted to be part of the scene and really wanted to be in a band. Later, she said in an interview, "I didn't want to be marketed as the next Kelly Clarkson or Avril Lavigne. I wanted to play shows with my friends. I wanted to be in a band." And this was right at the height of, Warped Tour, right? This is where the emo space really took off. And so bands were really the thing at this time versus even the solo artists, especially in this scene compared to like pop in that space. But the decision to fight for Paramore as a band was the foundation for everything that came next and gave us the band that we all know and love, also allowing Hayley to have some solo projects to explore other areas, other genres, kind of within the band, but also outside. So she signed a private record deal with Atlantic Records that included Paramore in the label Fueled by Ramen, who we've talked about whenever we went through Fall Out Boy in our previous episode. This was an 8-album deal, so recently finished due to Paramore's 6 albums and Hayley's 2 solo albums, which is really nice because she can complete the deal with both Paramore, but also some of her solo work due to how she signed. Now she actually has her own label where she released her newest solo album, and it's called Post Atlantic. And I believe even now, after I even like wrote all of this and prepared for this episode, that maybe she has signed to another, like maybe Sony or one of those. So there may be more to that, but she released her latest album, which just came out on Post Atlantic, her own, showcasing how Atlantic Records may not have been the best symbiotic relationship for her and the best experience. Again, we've said it a million times, as many of the bands in this time and era, and especially within this scene, went through because of the record labels and how they treated the bands. So where did the music actually start? The first album we got, their debut album, was released in 2005, called All We Know Is Falling. This was on the Fueled by Ramen kind of sub specialty record label. It was raw, emotional, full of teenage angst, perfect for the time it was set in and who they were. This is where we got songs like Pressure and Emergency, which gave a taste of Paramore's potential and especially Haley's voice. But the album didn't immediately break through commercially. It wasn't immediately a major success. However, they did start to gain traction and they got an open door into Warped Tour, like a lot of the bands during that time. And so they were able to have more of that kind of grassroots fan support through the Warped Tour scene. And fans really drove kind of this album into a bit more of a forefront, gaining the traction that was needed for what was to come next. And the reason was that a lot of the scene kids and the fans noticed that Haley wasn't just a novelty front woman, she was the real deal. She had a huge voice, she had energy, she could dance, she had charisma, like she was a powerhouse of a lead. And because she was a woman and she brought her own flair, I guess, to the stage, she was unique in a world of a lot of frontmen that were dominating the space at the time in the emo and pop punk scene. Her voice carried both vulnerability and fury, really leaning into that emo core. And then her presence demanded attention. Reflecting on those earlier days, Haley said in an interview, walking onto those stages as the only girl of the lineup a lot of the time, it was intimidating, but I also felt like I had to prove myself every single night, which probably wasn't the best thing, but it did give us what Paramore became and the energy that really drove them forward. So having that pressure and those high stakes truly did give them that platform that they needed to become what they were. Speaking of the pressure, let's get into lyrics of Pressure. Tell me where our time went and if it was time well spent. Just don't let me fall asleep, feeling empty again, because I fear I might break and I fear I can't take it. Tonight I'll lie awake, feeling empty. I can feel the pressure. It's getting closer now. We're better off without you. I can feel the pressure. It's getting closer now. We're better off without you. Now that I'm losing hope and there's nothing else to show for all of the days that we spent carried away from home, some things I'll never know, and I had to let them go. I'm sitting all alone, feeling empty. I can feel the pressure. It's getting closer now. We're better off without you. I can feel the pressure. It's getting closer now. We're better off without you. Without you. Some things I'll never know, and I had to let them go. Some things I'll never know, and I had to let them go. But I'm sitting all alone, feeling empty. I can feel the pressure. It's getting closer now. We're better off without you. I can feel the pressure. It's getting closer now. You're better off without me. What came next was all that momentum, all the grassroots fan building, the energy of Warped Tour, and the breakthrough of Riot in 2007. Once this was released, everything changed for the band and the scene as a whole. This gave us the massive singles like Misery Business, That's What You Get, Crush, Crush, Crush. Paramore went from scene darlings, kind of scene tokens, to international stars. And Misery Business specifically became the defining anthem of the mid 2000s emo pop scene. So it had this pop punk, but emo pop kind of overlap to it that made it highly addictive to anyone that was in the scene. It was also more commercially available. And because of Haley's dominating voice, it showcased all that Paramore had to offer, which really was so unique compared to everyone else that was on the stage and kind of in that genre of the market. It remains to be a song that you play it, like most generations have heard this song. They know this song. They're familiar with this song. So the lyrics, I'm in the business of misery. Let's take it from the top. She's got a body like an hourglass. It's ticking like a clock. It's a matter of time before we all run out. When I thought he was mine, she caught him by the mouth. I waited 8 long months. She finally set him free. I told him I couldn't lie. He was the only one for me. 2 weeks and we caught on fire. She's got it out for me, but I wear the biggest smile. Whoa, I never meant to brag, but I got him where I want him now. Whoa, it was never my intention to brag, to steal it all away from you now. But God, does it feel so good because I got him where I want him now. And if you could, then you know you would, because God, it just feels so good. Second chances, they don't ever matter. People never change. Once a whore, you're nothing more. I'm sorry, that'll never change. And about forgiveness, we're both supposed to have exchanged. I'm sorry, honey, but I passed it up. Now look this way. Well, there's a million other girls who do it just like you, looking as innocent as possible to get to who they want and what they like. It's easy if you do it right. Well, I refuse, I refuse, I refuse. Whoa, I never meant to brag, but I got him where I want him now. Whoa, it was never my intention to brag, to steal it all away from you now. But God, does it feel so good? Because I got him where I want him now. And if you could, then you knew you would, because God, it just feels so good. I watched his wildest dreams come true, not one of them involving you. Just watch my wildest dreams come true, not one of them involving. Whoa, I never meant to brag, but I got him where I want him now. Whoa, I never meant to brag, but I got him where I want him now. Whoa, it was never my intention to brag, to steal it all away from you now. But God, does it feel so good? Because I've got him where I want him now. And if you could, then you knew you would. Because God, it just feels so good. Riot sold over 2 million copies in the US and launched Paramore onto MTV, radio, the cover of alternative press. Suddenly, Haley was the face and the voice of emo and what would become mainstream, defining what it looked like to be in the scene at the time. But like any success that any band has had, especially in this genre at that time, it came with controversy. The first one being Misery Business and the infamous lyric, Once a whore, you're nothing more. Over the years, fans have pointed out and critics that there was internalized misogyny in the lyric, especially ironic given Haley's role as a rare figure in the male dominated genre. So Haley has been outspoken about, feminism in the space, equality, like treating women well. She was not necessarily always treated well as a female among a lot of males. A lot of males were very problematic within the scene. We've talked about that through many episodes. And so it felt like it was a bit of a hypocrisy that was a lyric that was there, kind of showcasing some of that misogyny that still was present, even in their own band and Haley as a songwriter. So she addressed it later on and said, I was a teenager when I wrote those lyrics, and I had a lot of learning to do about myself and about other women. I've grown a lot since then, and I don't want those words to represent how I feel anymore. And not only did Haley say that, but Paramore did actually retire Misery Business completely from live shows for several years until 2022, when Haley reintroduced it, reframing it as a moment of growth rather than shame. And if we know Haley, we know that she has done so much for women's rights, equality overall, human rights, but also within this scene, continuing to speak up and advocate for women to have a space and to be safe within the scene. So that speaks for itself, in my opinion. And, it leads into the role of Paramore, but also Haley, and how representation within the emo scene is a huge part of their legacy. So if we look back at the early 2000s, the scene was dominated by male fronted bands, right? Fall Out Boy, My Chemical Romance, Taking Back Sunday, Panic at the Disco, The Used, all of these bands that were very male heavy and male fronted, Brand New, and all of that. So Haley Williams stood out not only because she was one of the few women leading a band, but because she was unapologetically herself. She wasn't just trying to fit in to be another dude. She, like, even some of the songs, like, they were the same things that the guys were writing about. They weren't playing into the role of the girl in that time, in that era. They were as strong, as connected, like as powerful as what the other bands were putting out. And so it was very unique, but also like blended in the right way, not in a way that was like putting her in a place to be the token female. What was also interesting was her style and how she presented herself. So she wore bright colors in a sea of black hoodies and skinny jeans. She had neon shades to her hair and all sorts of different textures. Her makeup looks were and are still very iconic. They weren't just the black heavy eyeliner that we were seeing from bands. And she sang about female anger and insecurity in ways that resonated really deeply with fans. And for many young women, Paramore wasn't just a band, they were proof that they had a place in emo. And truly, her style and how she presented herself opened up a huge new opportunity within the scene of expression, which wasn't really there in that first and second wave of emo. And I know some people criticize some of the scene itself for not being fully emo, but this is part of where that came from. And self expression is a huge part of it. Looking back on this time and their role within, female representation, Haley has said in an interview, for the longest time, I didn't think about being a woman in the band. I just thought about being in a band. But as I got older, I realized that just existing on these stages was making space for other girls who wanted to do the same thing. So realized the role she had played without also taking on that responsibility of she has to be the one to do it, which I think is really important as well, and probably part of that success and authenticity versus trying to fit into a mold and all the things that could have happened, which possibly was because she did choose to be in a band versus go out solo and be on her own. So after Riot, the success of Riot, we got Brand New Eyes in 2009, which is where there was more controversy, but also more commercial success for the band. Because before this album was even released, Paramore was one of the biggest bands of the scene and of the time. So they went from being kind of a nobody on Warped Tour to being like huge and the one that people went to see on Warped Tour. And so they were building off of that momentum by releasing Brand New Eyes. And this gave us songs like Ignorance, Brick by Boring Brick, showcasing a more heavy, more mature sound that fits so perfectly in like the commercial space around this era, right? This was kind of those early 2000s where we had seen the rise and the height of emo, and then kind of a dip where a lot of bands began to transition or maybe even start to fall off a little bit. And we saw a different rise in kind of the more pop punk scene of it all. And so this album kind of fit and followed some of that commercial success. So Brick by Boring Brick lyrics. Well, she lives in a fairy tale, somewhere too far for us to find, forgotten the taste and smell of a world that she's left behind. It's all about the exposure, the lens, I told her. The angles were all wrong now. She's ripping wings off of butterflies. Keep your feet on the ground. When your head's in the clouds, we'll go get your shovel and we'll dig a deep hole to bury the castle, bury the castle. Go get your shovel and we'll dig a deep hole to bury the castle, bury the castle. So one day he found her crying, coiled up on the dirty ground. Her prince finally came to save her, and the rest you can figure out. But it was a trick, and the clock struck 12. Well, make sure to build your home brick by boring brick, or the wolf's going to burn it down. Keep your feet on the ground, and when your head's in the clouds, well, go get your shovel, and we'll dig a deep hole to bury the castle, bury the castle. Go get your shovel, and we'll dig a deep hole, and we'll bury the castle, bury the castle. Well, you built up a world of magic because your real life is tragic. Yeah, you built up a world of magic. Well, if it's not real, you can't hold it in your hand and you can't feel it with your heart. And I won't believe it. But if it's true, you can see it with your eyes. Oh, even in the dark. And that's where I want to be. Yeah, go get your shovel and we'll dig a deep hole to bury the castle, bury the castle. Go get your shovel and we'll dig a deep hole to bury the castle, bury the castle. While there was so much success around this period of time behind the scenes, things were tense and tensions were rising within the band. Things were messy, not something unique to bands around this time. But the exact issue was a little bit unique because it was all about love and broken hearts. So Haley and Josh Farrow apparently dated. Approximately, they did date, but around 2004 to 2007, kind of right at most of the success and the whole history of Paramore. And they were the founding members of Paramore, with Farrow, Josh serving as the guitarist and Williams on the lead vocals, and Josh being the brother of Zach, who was on the drums. They did keep their relationship secret whenever the band started and during their early rise. And it ended privately in 2007, reportedly, supposedly, due to personal and professional issues, including religious differences and tension over attention. So Haley has been very outspoken about leaving the church, whereas Josh was still tied to a lot of that. And in the Bible Belt up the South, that can be really complicated. And so there were a lot of changing values and beliefs and what all things meant around that time. So there is some belief and fan belief that a lot of the lyrics on Brand New Eyes reflected that conflict between Haley and Josh, especially the song Ignorance, which is rumored to be about Josh. So we'll dig into those lyrics. If I'm a bad person, you don't like me. Well, I guess I'll make my own way. It's a circle, I mean cycle. I can't excite you anymore. Where's your gavel, your jury? What's my offense this time? You're not a judge, but if you're going to judge me, they'll sentence me to another life. Don't want to hear your sad songs. I don't want to feel your pain. When you swear it's all my fault, because you know we're not the same. We're not the same. Yeah, that my friends who stuck together, we wrote our names in blood, but I guess you can't accept that the change is good. It's good. Will you treat me just like another stranger? Well, it's nice to meet you, sir. I guess I'll go. I best be on my way out. You treat me just like another stranger. Well, it's nice to meet you, sir. I guess I'll go. I best be on my way out. Ignorance is your new best friend. Ignorance is your new best friend. This is the best thing that could have happened any longer, and I wouldn't have made it. It's not a war. No, it's not a rapture. I'm just a person, but you can't take it. The same tricks that once fooled me, they won't get you anywhere. I'm not the same kid from your memory. Well, now I can fend for myself. Don't want to hear your sad songs. I don't want to feel your pain. When you swear it's all my fault, because you know we're not the same. We're not the same. Yeah, that the friends who stuck together, we wrote our names in blood, but I guess you can't accept that the change is good. It's good. Will you treat me just like another stranger? Well, it's nice to meet you, sir. I guess I'll go. I best be on my way out. You treat me just like another stranger. Well, it's nice to meet you, sir. I guess I'll go. I best be on my way out. Ignorance is your new best friend. Josh and Zach both left the band in 2010, and they posted a very controversial blog post where they accused Paramore of being more of the Haley Williams project than a real band, causing a lot of drama in the fan groups as well. And Haley responded by saying, Paramore has always been a band. It's always been about more than one person, but I also want to apologize for being the one that people see the most. That's just the role I've had to play. Despite all the drama that was going on, Brand New Eyes did become a fan favorite and further cemented Paramore as one of emo's leading voices. And Josh was replaced by Justin York on guitar. His brother Zach has since returned to the band and is back on drums. I think for a while, there were some other drummers that filled the space, like Josh Freese, Island or Elon, Ruben. They were temporary replacements. Even Aaron Gillespie from Under Oath toured with them for a little bit on drums. And then Justin York initially toured with the band and later became the official member, completely replacing Josh. So the band kind of became back together in a way, just with Josh being replaced in 2017. And that's the band that we have as Paramore today. Little fun fact, I went to church with Josh Farrow whenever I originally moved to Nashville, which was very interesting. And he was already like married at the time, I believe, or dating at least, and now married. But interesting to see. And I think he does his own solo stuff now, but no longer part of Paramore and kind of cut out. But Zach is back, which is really interesting. So there's probably a lot of reconciliation there. I think something to remember is that they were kids, basically teenagers, young adults at the time. So it's like your high school relationship that maybe got you into college and then you broke up, like that probably doesn't actually stick with you that long. Like eventually you all kind of get over it. So I'm guessing that that's probably what has happened because they all still live in Nashville too. So probably all completely fine. And thankfully that drama did not take away from their success. So after Brand New Eyes, we got the self-titled fourth album called Paramore in 2013. And this is where we got Still Into You and Ain't It Fun, and made this the record that truly shifted away from this kind of emo pop, more rock sound to more of an indie rock, new wave, and even funk type of influence. So a very different sound than what they had before. A lot of fans today, which I think shows how Paramore has reached across so many different groups of people and even generations, is that the group that came in under the Paramore album are very different than a lot of the scene kids from Riot and Brand New Eyes. So it's interesting to see how many different fan groups they have and how much diversity is within their fan spaces because of how they shifted their sound during this time and how different that really was. This album did debut at number 1 on the Billboard 200 and won the band their first Grammy for Ain't It Fun, and was proof that Paramore could reinvent themselves and survive lineup changes, drama, all of the things. It's so interesting how successful that was when we look back at so many of the other bands. Again, I think making Paramore so special and unique. A lot of the other bands in the scene, the more they tried to change their sound, the less successful it became because fans just wanted the old stuff, right? I think it's still true. Like fans want Riot, fans want Brand New Eyes. I'm the same way. I want Misery Business. It's what I like the most. But they were able to stretch beyond their current fans and go into new fan groups and see success still by changing, which is so unique. Not all bands are able to do that. We can talk about Taylor Swift could do that, right? Paramore was able to do that, which is really, really special. So a few years later, we got After Laughter in 2017, which was a surprise to fans because this was a synth pop 80s inspired record that leaned heavily into the bright melodies, darker lyrical themes, and gave us songs like Hard Times and Fake Happy, which captured the paradox of performing joy while also struggling internally. And Haley has done a great job at lyrically kind of showcasing her own life, which leans back into the emo roots, but also I think collectively what people are going through. So really spoke to the time. This also showcased as an album Haley's vulnerability. In interviews, she spoke more openly about her struggles with depression, divorce, burnout, all the things she had been going through around this time. And in one of those interviews, she said, "This album has me learning how to dance through the pain, to admit that I wasn't okay, but still find a way to survive." So that's what you're going through. Then After Laughter is the album for you. That theme of connecting and being joyful through the darkest of it all continued 5 years later in 2023. Oh, I guess it says 6 year break because I can't do math, but 6 years later, Paramore returned with This Is Why, which is where they blended that post-punk art rock kind of with that funk pop background. And it was their most politically charged album, tackling the themes of anxiety, social unrest, and burnout in modern life, following everything that had come from the COVID pandemic, elections around the 2020s, like all the stuff that was going on in the world that is continuing to affect a lot of us today. And it was another reminder that Paramore has never been afraid to evolve. So I'm going to go through This Is Why lyrics. If you have an opinion, maybe you should shove it, or maybe you could scream it. Might be best to keep it to yourself. This is why I don't leave the house. You say the coast is clear, but you won't catch me out. Oh, why? This is why. Better have conviction because we want crimes of passion, survival of the fittest. You're either with us or you can keep it to yourself. This is why I don't leave the house. You say the coast is clear, but you won't catch me out. Oh, why? This is why. This is why I don't leave the house. You say the coast is clear, but you won't catch me out. Oh, why? This is why. One step beyond your door, it might as well have been a free fall. One step beyond your door, falling down an endless hall. One step beyond your door, might as well have been a free fall. One step beyond your door, and I'm floating like a cannonball. This is why I don't leave the house. You say the coast is clear, but you won't catch me out. Oh, why? This is why. When we look at Paramore's legacy and even Hayley Williams' legacy, it isn't just about their music, it's about what they represented every single step of the way. Hayley has opened doors for countless female artists in the alternative world, from Lynn Gunn of Purist to Becca McIntyre of Marmosets, and even Billie Eilish, who has cited Hayley as a huge influence. Paramore gave a generation of fans, especially young women, permission to scream, to be messy, to be emotional, and take up space in a scene that really tried to box them out or use them. And artists were able to become part of that, now creating a space in the scene for the fans and the artists together to celebrate female experiences and being female and the power of that within a space that is also heavily emotionally and vulnerable and a fun and heavy and real and energetic, right? Just like the other artists and the bands have done and have created just a subset of that, of not only representation, but connection, which has been really special. They proved that emo didn't have to look one way, sound one way, or be led by one type of voice. And Hayley continues to do so much more. And she just released an album on her own that is absolutely incredible. Again, speaking more politically and of the times currently, she continues to be an activist, is, someone who collaborates with another artist and will always add so much to a performance, to a song, which is extremely special. I saw her once at a brunch spot in Nashville, and one of my most starstruck moments, I didn't talk to her. She was standing getting coffee. I was sitting in the corner, but was able to just watch her and just be in awe of, like, you are like so powerful of a person, but also like you've shared so much of your life to make space for so many people and like help so many people feel seen. And I know she doesn't have to carry the weight of that. Like, that's not her job, but her art it goes beyond just the enjoyment or just the art itself, which is very, very special and unique and makes me a fan. I may not be the biggest fan of every single album in the same way, but I will always be a fan of Paramore and Hayley for that reason. And just because Hayley does solo stuff, she said multiple times that Paramore is always here. They take breaks, they come back, they will always be here. Paramore is special and it will not go away. So we probably have something to look forward to maybe in the next couple of years after Hayley enjoys the success of her solo project. We'll get some more of Paramore back, and who knows how they'll evolve or what they'll lean into next. But I'm excited to see it because they really haven't let us down. Nothing either, anything they've put out, right? There's no letdowns. It's evolution, makes you enjoy it just like art should, but they will always deliver. That's a guarantee. So something that is exciting to lean into. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you have a story that you want to share, leave a review, positive one, share your story there. If you're listening on podcast, make sure you're subscribed and everything. Then if you're on YouTube, you can engage in the comments. That's a great way to talk with each other, share your stories. So I encourage you to do that. I would love to hear that myself. And if you're dying to come on the podcast and share about a band you love, about a story or an album you love, or whatever it may be, bits of history I've been hitting on that you want to talk about because of your experience within the scene and as a fan, I would love to have you on the podcast. You're more than welcome to come and share. just look at the show notes. My email address is there. Email me and we can schedule and get you on. So thank you for tuning in. Enjoy all of our episodes. Maybe dig into your homework of listening to a couple of Paramore's albums, especially if there's one you haven't actually heard. And then I'll see you in our next class.